Alright, so I've had a chance to get some hours on my 1855 with the Cummins conversion, so I'm just going to do a quick little update video. First I'm going to do is a few little problems I ran into actually before I had a chance to run it. First one was the thermostat. I was having some troubles with it. And there was some other questionable things on this engine from the school bus, the mechanic working on it, that I had to fix. Minor things like oil seals, how they were installed, and what have you. Anyway, the one was the thermostat was installed backwards. So I got a new Napa thermostat and stuck it in, but the engine was still overheating on me. So anyways, with some more research online and whatnot, I came to realize that this lift ring, it's kind of hard to see here, but that goes between the thermostat housing and the cylinder head was missing, so it was distorting the O-ring and kind of restricting on the thermostat. So I got a new sealing ring, a lift ring, and ended up getting a used but known good, an actual Cummins thermostat from a neighbor of mine, and stuck that in and put the three of them together, and it just happened to, everything started to work good. And I also started to, which I had never had before, was any circulation up to the heater in the cab. So that was an added bonus that the right thermostat got that working for me. The other thing was the temperature was still reading off, and after some more research I changed the temperature sensor down here took out the Cummins one and got the proper thermostat sensor for an 1855 or the original 310 Waukesha engine. So between those two things, the temperature seems to be running right where it needs to be. It's a little on the warm side. It's running kind of in the mid of the work range, but anyway, it's still not running near the red, so I think we're good. As you can see, I've got my duals on. One of the problems I found with the duals and the drill, which I'll show you in a minute, was had some trouble steering. So I've made up a weight bracket here on the front to hang suitcase weights. See, these are Taylor Foundry weights, and then a Massey weight, just to hang them on the front until I can find some proper Oliver front, either stack weights or big square weights. Trying to think if there's anything else that we've had to. I've got a 925 cold cranking amp battery. It seems to be doing a good job of starting it up. So this is what I bought the whole tractor for in the first place, and it's a 15-foot John Deere 750 no-till drill. And then anybody that's towed one of these things, they are heavy. So one of I got last year when I rented a 4640 for planting, I put this conversion kit on, which technically you're supposed to drop the dolly wheels and run it like a full 2-point, but what I find, I don't have too many flat fields at my place, lots of little rolls and whatnot. So what I do is when I'm actually planting in the field is just let the 3-point hitch all the way down, let the weight carry on the wheels, and you just let the drill float behind you. And then the other thing is that anybody knows that have used one of these things and have come across a wet condition know, for whatever reason, these front wheels, as soon as they hit anything soft, they seem to go into submarine mode and dive down into the ground, and then stops the tractor dead, even a 4640 with 20.842 axle duals on it. So anyway, so you stick this guy on there, go along until you hit your wet spot, or if you're coming up in a wet spot, all you have to do is lift it just an inch, and you can watch a little bit of movement up in this joint here. This comes up and the wheels stay on the ground, and you can just walk through a mud hole no problem now. So that was a nice little perk. And then with this tractor being 2-wheel and whatnot, that's to get through any of the wet holes, that's definitely what you need. Other than that, we might do some videos on doing maintenance and repair on the 750 for anybody that might be interested. I've planted the only thing I've done so far this year with it being so wet is I've planted 12 acres of hay. And yeah. Okay, so we're up in the cab here. We're just going to go over a couple of things. I just had it running, so that's why there's a little bit of oil pressure there in the gauge. Anyway, I'm not sure if I've pointed out one of the previous videos or not, but I did hook up the original electric solenoid for shutting off and turning on the injection pump, all hooked up to the key switch. So now we will So yeah, so I still want to put an intake heater in it just to help in those cold Canadian winters, because I would like to get a snowblower for this thing at some point. Something else I'm working on over here, I'm just in the kind of the experimental stages. These levers here for your SCVs aren't anywhere near long enough to be comfortable to operate. So I'm just figuring out the right heights before I make something longer. So for now I just blocked a pair of vice grips on there, and that seems to be doing the trick. Before I put the weights in the front, when I was planting that bit of hay, I somehow must have grabbed the 3-point hitch lever and picked up on the 3-point hitch. And I went to steer at one corner and didn't want to steer and ended up in the rhubarb. Something else I'm not sure if I pointed out or not, I've got a rubber floor mat I've put in it, so that helps with the vibration and helps the noise and everything. One other thing I just remembered, this AC Delco alternator that I've got on here, when the tractor was let me back up a bit. So when I hooked up, since I'm running electric shutoff solenoid, then the original tractor had the pull cable to shut it off. The AC Delco alternator, when you shut the key off, pull the thing, the tractor would quit. Well, now that I've got the electric fuel shutoff solenoid, you shut the key off, but the alternator still remains charging and backfeeding through your excite circuit. So what I had to do was I had to put a little diode in the excite circuit so that so as soon as you shut the key off, it would actually let the electric solenoid shut off. What I had to do before was actually unplug right from the alternator itself was the only way to get the engine to shut off, which needless to say isn't too handy. So here's the electric shutoff solenoid, just in case I haven't covered it before. So what I've done is I've hooked one wire up to your hold-in coil to my fuel pump, and then ran the other pull-in circuit down to the starter itself, so that when the starter engages, it sends the higher current to the pull-in circuit, because this is a 3-wired solenoid. You can't run power to the pull-in circuit to the pulling coil all the time, otherwise you'll burn it out, because it's a higher amperage coil than the hold-in one. There's 2 actual coils inside that. And then you're seeing a bit of a mess here. I had a bit of a fuel leak here at the banjo fitting. So anyway, I got that fixed. Other than that, we seem to be in good shape. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask, and we will talk to you guys later.